I'm calling from the trip. I'd like to confirm a quote.
Getting right around the 2 hours. I'm coming up on deadline.
How much money was it? Was it over $1,000? Was it over $10,000?
Report something. There's a body upstairs.
What's happening?
Are you the mother?
Yes?
Ma'am, I'm sorry about your daughter.
My daughter?
Aren't you Mrs. Mills?
Terry. Oh, my God.
What happened, Mom?
Come on, Ed, and there's no reason to stay here now.
I want to be with Andrew.
Go in this car.
I want to be with Andrew. The victim is a girl. Her name is Terry Mills. She was friendly with Edna.
I know. I met her.
I want to see my son.
I'm sorry that's impossible at this time.
Well, when? When can I see him?
I can't say right now.
In an hour? Can't I see him in an hour?
It'll be several hours at least.
Why don't you take her home?
Several hours.
Check back with me in a little while.
Come with me. Come on. Come on.
Andrew was booked on suspicion of murder. I called the story in.
Good.
Yeah, wonderful.
Art and Edna are in no shape to worry about it now, but Andrew's going to need a lawyer.
Yeah, let's try to get him someone really good. What about Davis Mendelsohn?
You know him?
Sort of. I covered the Ferguson murder, remember?
Oh, good. Okay, we'll call him. Stay with Art. Do what you can. I gotta get back.
And how is Mr. Donovan?
A little shaky.
He's been living with this all along with a cousin who's dangerously psychotic.
It only got bad recently. And no one really knew how crazy Andrew was or how dangerous.
It's just awful.
He got Andrew to go to the state hospital last week. He was released yesterday after the 72 hours observation period. Then he disappeared. Donovan and Billy spent the night looking for him.
And this morning, a young woman is dead.
Well, the thought occurs to me, we've got to decide how much attention to give this.
Or give it no attention. We don't report on every murder that happens in Los Angeles. What makes this one so special?
Our assistant city editor's cousin is a suspect.
What makes it special to us?
If we ignore it, it'll look as if we're protecting one of our own.
Or it'll look like we're gracefully bowing out of a story that's too close to us.
Oh, that's just great, Lou. Every time we have a connection with a story, we step aside, we hand it over to the competition. Here, you guys take it. This one hits too close to home.
Not every story. Just this one murder. If it had nothing to do with Art Donovan, would we even be considering it?
You bet we would.
Aye.
A co-ed, an art student, killed in her apartment by a guy we just released from a state hospital? You bet your rear end we'd cover it. We would be all over it.
Can we simmer down and take a moment to think? Yes, we are close to this story. And maybe that puts us in the best position to cover it, with a real understanding. And that gives us a unique responsibility, Mr. Grant. I just don't think we can ignore it.
My aunt knew. I should have listened.
You did listen.
Well, I should have seen it.
How? Andrew was just in the mental hospital for 3 days. Trained professionals didn't see what was happening.
I knew him better than they did. I just didn't want to look at how bad it was.
I'm Dave Mendelsohn.
Oh, Lou Grant.
How do you do?
Art Donovan.
Oh, Mr. Donovan. I'm sorry. I know what you're going through. Difficult as it is right now, it's important that we have a talk soon.
Talk about what?
About Andrew's defense.
Mr. Mendelsohn is the lawyer I called.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, from what Miss Newman has already told me, I don't think the DA will be able to ask for first-degree murder. Second degree would be the most.
Is there a chance it could be less than second-degree murder?
Well, we might be able to knock it down to voluntary manslaughter. In Andrew's favor, at least, it's not the kind of a crime that attracts a lot of publicity.
My defense is a piece of cake. It's easy. Open and shut.
It is, huh?
Sure. Because I didn't do it.
Well, we know now that the DA is going to ask for second-degree murder.
What's the sentence for that?
15 years to life. He'd be eligible for parole in 10 years.
10 years.
Now, to some people, that doesn't sound like much for murder. Now, I believe that 10 years in a state prison will be disaster for Andrew. I don't think he's equipped to deal with the confinement, the brutalization by the other prisoners. If he does make it through, he'll return to society much worse than he is now.
So what can you do?
Well, there are options. His state of mind at the time of the crime is critical here. I'd like to try to get the charge knocked down to voluntary manslaughter. And I'd also like to plead him not guilty by reason of insanity.
Well, okay, if that's what you want to do, then let's do that.
Unfortunately, my hands are tied.
Why?
Andrew says he didn't do it.
He does?
I took his story apart in 5 minutes. On the stand, a prosecutor with all his preparation will do an even better job.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Is there any chance that Andrew is innocent?
I think we'd be kidding ourselves if we believed it, and we wouldn't be helping Andrew. If I'm limited to arguing that he didn't do it, we'll lose.
Well, we're hiring you. I want you to do what's best for Andrew.
It doesn't matter who's paying the bill. I'm Andrew's attorney. If he says he didn't do it, I can't say that he did.
But you're going to advise him.
I did. I don't think he's listening.
Then Andrew is behaving in a way that is really destructive to his best interests.
What else is new?
Lou Grant will continue in a moment here on A&E.
No, I think the connection's getting worse. Okay. Well, we'll talk when you get here. I said when you get here, well, never mind. Goodbye, Danny.
Hey,
You want to know what the weather is tomorrow in Hong Kong?
what are you looking so pleased about?
You know Danny Richland?
Yeah, he's the Journal's Hong Kong bureau chief.
Yeah, well, he just finished 6 months in Beijing, which was formerly Peking.
I know, as in Beijing duck.
Yeah. Anyway, he'll be over here for a few days, and it'll be great to swap stories.
Yeah, he can talk about Zhou Enlai, and you can talk about Grauman's Chinese. Say, aren't you supposed to be...
Yeah, I'm on my way right now. Here I go.
You don't know what you're talking about. That is the best shot I've given you all week.
You didn't get a name. We don't run the picture.
I got a name.
Well, it isn't there.
Okay, I didn't put it on the caption slip. I can check my notes.
Fine. I'll call the print shop and tell them to take a coffee break while you check your notes.
I'll get the name, Art.
Lou, how do you want me to handle this?
Handle what?
I just got an Andrew story. I assume you don't want me to edit it.
It's a conflict for me, too, because I called Mendelson. Throw these stories to Adam.
Look, can I see you for a second in my office? Lou, the suburban papers are really playing up the Terry Mills killing.
Friends mourn slain co-ed. Neighbors outraged over death of girl.
I mean, they've got reactions from neighbors, from friends. What are we doing?
We've got Rossi interviewing the girl's parents.
Mr. Mills?
Yes?
My name is Joe Rossi. I'm a reporter, and I'd like to talk to you very briefly, if I may.
Reporter from the newspaper?
Yes. The Los Angeles Tribune. I'm sure that any stories that are written now, you'd like to be as truthful as possible. And of course, you might have something to say that might mean something to other parents in similar circumstances.
I don't care. Come on in.
Terry had a sweetness. I'm not saying that because I think it came from anything I did. She had it the day she was born. She just had no ill will toward anybody.
You hear about all the wild things kids do. Drugs, I don't know. Terry never did any of them.
When she asked to get her own apartment, there was just never any question about it. She was so reliable.
I see. Do you have any plans now?
Plans?
For the future?
What future?
I'll tell you. I'm not looking ahead farther than one thing. I want to see that bastard that killed Terry punished.
Isn't it kind of painful for you to watch what happens now with a trial?
Not as painful as it will be if he gets off. You just know they're going to try to get him off. Say he's crazy and he didn't know what he was doing.
You don't think that's possible if the suspect was insane?
He knew exactly what he was doing. And they're talking about degrees of murder, as if there were degrees of Terry's being dead. I can't have Terry back, but I can have justice. And justice is not having a wonderful person whom everybody loved dead, and a murdering psycho out walking the street.
I have a chest cold, maybe pneumonia. I haven't been sleeping. You can do something terrible and still get sick.
You told Mendelson you didn't do it.
I was scared. I didn't know what they'd do to me. I thought they were going to beat me up.
And now?
No, I thought about it. I don't care what they do to me. I'd just give anything if it could be 2 weeks ago now. I'd go off somewhere. Off in the woods somewhere where I couldn't hurt anybody. I swear to God, I didn't know I was going to hurt somebody. I just didn't know. I'm so sorry. I can't sleep at nights. All I do is cry.
We need to talk about your defense a little.
I don't care what happens to me. You hate me, don't you?
No. No, I don't.
You should.
Look, I am angry, but I don't hate you. Now, we've got some things we have to discuss.
I don't care about my defense as long as I'm punished.
Whichever way it goes for you, what's ahead is not going to be easy. Mendelsohn is a top attorney. What he wants to do is say that the crime was no more than manslaughter and that also you are not guilty by reason of insanity.
I'm not crazy. I don't want him standing up there saying that I'm crazy.
Andrew, stop it. I didn't come here to play your little games. You're in real trouble this time, and nobody is going to be able to get you out of it. Now, maybe we can help some, but you've got to cooperate.
Okay, whatever you say. Just tell me what you think I should do.
Let Mendelsohn pick the strategy for your defense. Work with him.
Okay, if that's what you think, I'll agree to it.
Okay.
This is good barbecue sauce.
From the DA's office recipe book. Secret.
Yeah, get it on a discovery motion.
Stick that on the table.
Listen, Brad, before the girls get back, can we talk a couple of minutes of business?
Andrew Rain.
Yeah. He's very disturbed, you know that. Very disturbed.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, what do you offer?
All you guys need is a solid conviction. We plead guilty to voluntary manslaughter and take our chances on the sentence.
Look, you know me, Dave. I don't like to play society's avenging angel. I'm not out for blood here.
So what do you think?
Well, I'll get together with my people in the morning, kick it around. I will call you in the afternoon.
Okay.
It's amazing they haven't banned me from the neighborhood. Maybe that's next.
What do they do?
Well, mainly it's what they don't do. Nobody speaks to me. And there's this informal neighborhood association that some of the people have formed because of the burglaries and attempted rapes. Now they're trying to blame Andrew for everything bad that's happened. They're really worked up. And of course, everyone liked Terry.
So did you. You were her best friend.
Yes, well, that's the problem. To them, it's all my fault.
Your fault?
Well, yes, I introduced Terry to Andrew, so they feel that I'm the link. I'm to blame for her death.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I think, maybe they're right. I adored that girl.
You can stay here if you want.
Oh, no, no. I'm not going to run. Being Andrew's mother has always meant that my life wouldn't be quite the same as other people's. Maybe the time will come when I'll wash my hands of him. But that time hasn't come yet.
Hello?
Just got some news from Driscoll at the cop house. I knew you'd want to hear.
What?
Andrew was sick and they took him to the hospital.
Yeah?
Somehow he managed to escape.
Lou Grant will continue in a moment here on A&E. A&E returns to Lou Grant.
Apparently, they came in to give him a pill in the night and he was gone.
What's their explanation?
They don't know how he did it. Animal got this picture of the hospital prison ward showing the bars, everything.
Okay. Write up what you got and get in with a sidebar on Terry Mill's parents.
Photos now? Sidebars?
Art, I'm sorry.
Why not a special edition or a fold-out with color?
You can't expect us to ignore the story now, not after the escape.
No, don't ignore it, but do we have to act like we've got a deliberate policy of jumping on every angle of this thing?
I don't make all the decisions around here, Art.
Oh, I see.
Hey, Art.
You know what you're doing? I'll tell you. Andrew's attorney is in the middle of negotiations with the DA to reduce the charges. All of these stories come out, the case gets all of this attention, and the DA is put in a position where he can't back off murder too, no matter how much he wants to make a deal. And that blows it for Andrew.
Art, this is a difficult situation.
Is it? You certainly found an easy solution.
We can't back away from this story because the suspect happens to be your cousin.
Aren't you just going all out to prove how unbiased you can be?
No, I don't think so. But we're not ducking this.
Yeah, and Andrew's getting shafted because he has the bad grace to have a cousin who works for the Trib.
Andrew is in trouble right now because of what he did.
Oh, I see. The Trib is trying Andrew now and convicting him. I didn't know that was the newspaper's job.
Well, it sure as hell isn't our job to protect him. Come on, Art, think about what he did that night. He was with Billy at your apartment the night of the murder, alone with her. The victim could have been Billy.
Oh, you really know how to hit low, don't you?
Art, wait a minute.
Not now, Lou.
Art! Come with me. Look, events are unfolding which you didn't start, which you can only do so much to change.
Yeah, but I gotta do something.
Of course, I understand that.
You know, when this first happened, I felt the same way towards Andrew that Charlie does.
Sure.
I was angry. I hated him. Any affection I ever felt for him was gone. And then I saw him at the jail. He was still manipulative, still a pain in the neck, and frightened, and sorry. And I remembered all of us trying to get help for him. Edna and me, and Andrew himself. And I don't know, somehow it seemed that everybody'd let him down because there were so many chances to stop this thing. And the world is just not set up to stop it.
What are you doing in here? Ollie, ollie, oxen free.
I can't go into details because of doctor-patient confidentiality, but things were coming out in the therapy that really concerned me.
Concerned you enough to call the police?
That's right.
Well, how often does a situation like this come up in your practice?
This is only the second time I have ever felt it necessary to go to the police.
What happened the first time?
Nothing has happened in 5 years. Apparently my concern in that case was unjustified. You know, predicting behavior is really crystal ball gazing. I wish with Andrew I'd had a better crystal ball.
What would you have done?
For one thing, had I known he was in a disturbed cycle, I would have tried to delay going out of town.
Dr. Myrdal, is Andrew crazy?
In my professional opinion, Andrew is deeply crazy.
Then I may ask you to testify at Andrew's trial.
Please don't.
Why not?
Because I can't go on the stand and answer whether Andrew is legally sane or insane. Nobody can agree on what the definition is. And I'm not sure it matters.
Oh, it matters in a court of law.
I know. The law is everything. The law is our God.
Well, I do believe in justice.
So do I. But in our pursuit of justice, we put so much money and so much energy in this show we call the trial. How much is it going to cost us to try Andrew? Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Don't we have to?
Well, but it's way out of proportion with the effort we put into preventing what happened. And then when the trial is over, nothing is really done to prevent this same terrible thing from happening again. So go ahead with your trial, but leave me out of it. I would rather spend those hours here in this office doing what I do best, talking to patients.
But you do care about your patients. And Andrew is, or at least was, one of your patients.
Yes?
You can still be of help to him because what you say at this trial can affect his fate.
I just don't think psychiatrists belong in the courtroom, Art.
You may be right, but psychiatrists will be there nevertheless. The prosecution will call psychiatrists. We better be able to present our side of the picture.
If you don't testify, they will get somebody who knows Andrew less well and is less qualified in this case.
All right. I'll do it. Not because I believe it's right, but because maybe now not to do it would be wrong.
Thank you.
Damn you.
What's the penalty for second-degree murder?
5, 6, or 7 years.
15 years to life.
No, Rossi, it's a determinate
A
sentence.
lawyer told me.
A lawyer told me. They just changed the law.
That's right, and you have the old numbers.
Hold it. Remind me not to ask you guys questions unless you can agree on the answers.
I can't wait to see your face when you check it.
I'm not going to check it. I have no reason to check it.
Okay. Now, Andrew is going to plead not guilty and not guilty by reason of insanity.
Right.
Progress.
Which is crazy.
No, it's not.
We were doing so well.
How can it not be crazy to say I didn't do it, and at the same time say I did it, but I was crazy? That's an admission of guilt.
But you have to find out if the person knew what he was doing.
If someone kills someone, it's murder, right?
There are a lot of ways I could kill you, and the society would not consider it murder. In a war, for example.
We're not in a war.
Close, though.
In self-defense. In an accident. In a fight where a person falls, hits his head, and dies. What the person's intent was is a critical issue in deciding his guilt. Did he plan it for months and knock someone off in cold blood? Did he come home and find his wife in bed with someone else? What was going on inside the person's mind is not a side issue, Newman. It is the whole issue.
So the law has to read minds. Look, we're going to have to cover this trial.
Well, put Simmons on it. He's great on trials.
Simmons is covering the Wayne County election frauds. I can't take him off. Billy, you're too close to it. Rossi, I think it's you.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Anybody want to buy me a beer? Well, the Trib certainly did a great job of keeping the pressure up. No plea bargain, and the DA is sticking with second-degree murder.
The key word in the legal definition of murder is malice. Now, in order for you to find Andrew Raines guilty of murder, it will be necessary for us to show that he acted with malice aforethought when he killed Terry Mills. Now, in order to prove malice, it is not necessary to show that Andrew Raines hated Terry Mills, but rather that he made a decision to kill her and then intentionally killed her.
The prosecution will be arguing this case with a simple view of human behavior, which we reject. They will be arguing that my client wished the victim in this case dead, and therefore killed her much the same way a person might want an automobile and give a car dealer a down payment. Intention, decision, action, like pushing a button. Now, our view of the tragic and regrettable events which we consider here is that they evolve from a set of circumstances which is far more complicated, and that my client did not harbor any ill will toward Miss Mills, but was indeed fond of her and tried to protect her, and that when he killed her, the decision was not based on society's rules as we know them, and to put these unfortunate circumstances in the same category with truly malicious crimes would be a serious miscarriage of justice.
Lou Grant will continue in a moment here on A&E.
Mrs. Douglas, do you recognize the man sitting over here to my left? For the record, the defendant, Andrew Raines.
Yes.
How do you know him?
He's the son of one of the tenants in our building. He used to come over to visit his mother.
Did you see him on the night of October 9th of this year?
Yes, I did. I was coming out with the garbage, and I saw him going into apartment 2C.
Do you know who lived in apartment 2C?
Terry Mills.
Nothing further.
You wish to cross-examine Mr. Mendelson?
Yes, just a few questions, Your Honor.
Mrs. Douglas, you were very fond of Terry Mills, weren't you?
Yes, everyone was.
Everyone?
Everyone in the building.
Including Edna Raines, my client's mother?
I guess so.
Including Andrew Raines?
I guess not.
You guess not. Mrs. Douglas, Was there an occasion recently when you spoke to Andrew Raines?
Yes.
Was it the time when you were trying to remove a heavy packing crate from your apartment?
Yes.
Who initiated the conversation, you or Andrew?
He did.
What did he say?
He offered to help me move the crate.
Thank you, Mrs. Douglas.
Lou, I'm thinking of having a little dinner party for Danny Richmond when he gets in from Hong Kong.
You're gonna give a dinner party?
Just for friends.
A very intimate dinner party.
When's it gonna be?
In a couple of weeks. You think I should invite Donovan?
Why not?
Well, you know, the things he's been going through. He's probably feeling rotten.
Why don't you invite him and let him decide?
Yeah. If he heard I was having a dinner party and wasn't invited, he'd feel even worse.
Death occurred at approximately 10 p.m. as a result of asphyxiation.
As far as you can tell, what caused the asphyxiation?
Strangulation. The bruise marks on the neck and thorax indicate strangulation.
A strangulation by what? Scarf? What?
Strangulation by human hands.
How long did it take for death to occur?
Well, that's hard to say exactly.
Can you estimate?
Well, it would be at least 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Well, that would require steady, purposeful effort.
Objection. The witness can only conjecture as to purpose.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase the question. This kind of strangulation would require prolonged, unrelenting effort, would it not?
Yes, I would think so.
Art.
Good evening.
Funny time to come in.
Well, I've been out a lot. I thought I'd help catch up.
I didn't have to. How far did the trial get today?
All the way.
Finished?
Well, the jury's got it.
And?
The prosecutor asked them to bring back a verdict of second-degree murder. If it's not that, it'll be voluntary manslaughter, which would be a lesser sentence.
You're not to do this. Let's go on home.
Clerk will read the verdict.
People versus Andrew Raines. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Andrew Raines, guilty of murder. And we find it to be murder in the second degree.
Oh, boy.
What happens now? The real thing, the sanity phase of the trial.
Well, Andrew is not sane. They've got to see that.
He's got to be legally insane.
Miss Raines?
Isn't a definition. A person is insane when he commits a crime if, as a result of mental disease or defect, he is unable to appreciate the criminality of his conduct or to conform his actions to the requirements of the law.
That makes sense. I mean, if he couldn't help himself because he was crazy, then he was crazy.
Well, we need some definition.
Right. The real problem is who can decide something like that.
Lou Grant will continue in a moment here on A&E.
You're gonna be okay?
No.
Andy, come on. You gonna make it? I heard you haven't been eating.
That's not good. You've got to keep up your strength for the next part of the trial.
A couple of guys here have been to state prison. They say the first thing I gotta do is get a knife.
You may not go to prison. That's what the next part of the trial is about. You may get sent to the state hospital instead.
In the prison ward.
Nobody said it was going to be easy.
You know what I keep thinking about?
What?
Forests.
Huh?
Green forests. Big redwoods. That's what I should have done. go to Oregon or someplace? Lived in a cabin instead of coming back to the city?
What you've got to be worrying about now is holding on here.
Remember Arrowhead? That great trip?
No.
You wrote a story about it. Got it published. Just about started you as a writer.
Oh, the bear story.
Yeah. That was a great story. I read it and I knew you were going to be a great writer.
Look, I want to talk about your testimony. Mendelssohn may decide to put you on the stand. Now, if he does...
Tell me the story.
What?
Tell Arrowhead. So I can just hear something that isn't trials and hospitals and jail.
Andrew.
Please.
Damn it, stop playing games. It's your life I'm trying to talk about.
I'm scared.
It was a cold night. It was dark. There was no moon.
How would you characterize Andrew's mental state, Dr. Murdaugh?
Andrew is delusional at times confused. He struggles with hostile impulses. He's schizophrenic and has paranoid tendencies.
By schizophrenic, do you mean split personality?
No.
Could you tell us exactly what that does mean?
It means the patient has a distorted sense of reality.
Then you would not say that Andrew is normal.
I would say that his thinking processes are not in the healthy range and that he's going to have difficulty dealing with day-to-day life.
Have you examined Andrew since he's been in custody?
Yes.
Is he feeling any remorse?
He's feeling tremendous remorse.
Now, Doctor, you were treating Andrew before the night of the killing, and you've seen him since. In your best professional judgment, what was his state of mind that night?
I think he was very conflicted, in the lowest point of a depressed cycle. It's possible Terry Mills was the subject of displaced hostility.
Toward whom was this hostility actually directed?
In fact, towards himself, mostly. He was terribly angry at what he felt to be his own failure. We're talking about a 32-year-old man who wanders around the city with no sense of purpose, unable to pull himself together enough even to get a job, to establish significant relationships, to cope with life in the most basic way.
All right, getting back to the hostility, where does it come from?
Hostility, in its deepest sense, is a response to fear. Andrew lives with constant fear, so painful it would be unbearable for most people. I was working in our therapy to help him deal with that fear. What Andrew still needs is not incarceration, but therapy.
Objection. The witness is making speeches.
Sustain.
You've described Andrew Raines as essentially not understanding what he was doing when he killed Terry Mills and acting without having any real choices. Is that a fair characterization of your opinion?
Yes, it's fair.
Okay, now, that evening, Andrew Raines was at his cousin's apartment, and his cousin invited him to dinner. Did Andrew understand then what an invitation to dinner was?
I think so.
And he knew what he was doing in turning down the invitation?
Yes.
Andrew then went to the building where Terry Mills lived. Was that, you think, a random choice, or did he know where he was going?
I think he knew where he was going.
So as he went up the steps to Terry Mills' apartment, he understood what he was doing and was acting with full volition?
Yes.
And as he entered the apartment, he knew where he was going?
Yes.
And as he talked to her, he understood he was having a conversation and was choosing to have it?
Yes.
Then at what point did Andrew no longer understand his own action? When he put his hands to Terry Mills' throat, when her face contorted in pain and fear, when he'd been strangling the life out of her for 2 minutes?
Objection. Argumentative.
Overruled. Answer the question.
We're talking about something complicated here.
That is why we must be precise.
Answer the question, Dr. Murdaugh.
When did Andrew stop knowing what he was doing?
I have no way of knowing.
Doctor, did you admit Andrew Raines for observation at Oak Hills Hospital?
Yes, I did.
Did you then release him at the end of his 72-hour observation period?
Yes.
Is it fair to say, then, that you found his mental and emotional problems insufficient to keep him confined?
Yes, that's correct.
No further questions.
Mr. Mendelsohn?
Dr. Sontag, during the 3 days that Andrew was at Oak Hills, did you have a therapy session with him?
No, I didn't. He was only there for observation.
Well, did you, talk with him during the 3 days?
No, I didn't.
Did any other staff doctor have a conversation with him?
Doctor? No.
Did any member of the staff, other than a technician, a therapist, a nurse, a social worker, have more than a few words with him?
No.
Then how were you able to evaluate his mental state?
Through observation. The law says observation.
And what did the observation consist of?
The nurse's station. Many of the offices have windows which look out into the day room.
Did the observation then consist of watching Andrew through a glass window at various moments while he was sitting in the day room?
Well, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, bye. Bye. Lou?
Huh?
Lou, this party I'm having for Danny Richland in a couple of weeks is getting really big.
Terrific. You want me to bring something?
No, that's okay, but there is one thing you can do, though.
What?
Can you let me have it at your place?
My place?
Well, yeah, I just got this small apartment. You've got a dining room, a living room.
That's true.
Good. Someday if you throw a small party, you could have it at my place.
Thanks, I'll remember that.
Hey, Billy, you can come to my party if you want to.
Rossi, listen, just because I sit opposite you, you don't have to feel obligated to invite me.
No, it's okay. I mean, there's so many people coming now, one more won't make any difference.
I see you still haven't lost any of the old charm, Rosie.
Art.
How is everything?
I don't know yet.
Listen, Donovan, I'm having this big party on the 23rd for Dan Richland. Dinner, drinks.
My place?
Yeah, so if you can make it.
Thanks, Rosie, but just now on. Thanks anyway.
Will the defendant rise? Please announce the verdict.
People versus Andrew Raines. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, having found Andrew Raines guilty of murder in the second degree, find him to have been sane at the time of the crime.
Lou, they're here.
What was the sentence?
15 years. He'll be eligible for parole in 10.
Edna, why don't you let Art take you home?
No, I have to do some shopping. Andrew said that he needed a toothbrush and a sweatshirt, and then he had ordered a pair of glasses about 2 months ago, so I thought I'd pick them up. Then I thought I'd go home and make some cookies. I'm not sure they'll even let him have cookies, but I have to do something. Thank you. Thank you.
design is marvelous. Rossi, where'd you get it?
I made it.
You mean you heated it up?
No, it's my pop's recipe. It's the only thing I know how to make. If you want to have breakfast at my house, it's lasagna. Or juice. I can do juice.
I got it. It's probably the kid from the liquor store. I was right. It is the kid from the liquor store.
Donovan!
Come on in, kid.
I figured Rossi wouldn't give another party for 25 years. I better see this one.
Oh, thank you.
Where's Richland?
He couldn't make it. He had to cover the vice president's visit in Beijing. But we figured, what the hell? What am I going to do with 20 pounds of ricotta cheese?
I could have told you.
Savito, Art.
Salute.
Here's to Dan Richland.
Better open the stuff I brought.
What does it take to be a superstar TV anchor? Find out on Investigative Reports tonight. Now, a cop goes undercover to catch a drug lord named Snake on Police Story. Next on A&E.